Hello, I'm just going to make a few comments as I finished marking the first discussion assignment just a couple hours ago. So before I release the marks, I thought I'd say a few things about how you did. In general, almost all of you did very well on the assignment. Those dreaded words, almost all. Some of you will find out, well, nobody failed on it, unless you didn't post anything at all. In terms of the mechanics of a discussion, you needed to make one good post and engage in discussion with somebody else in your group. Some of you made one good post, but you didn't discuss with anybody. Some of you posted really late on the last night of the discussion, and that would have hurt your grade to some degree, depending on how brilliant your single post was. Those of you who had a lot to say did better. Most of you, I'd say virtually all of you, got a good sense of the ethos, the climate of religion prior to the Protestant Reformation. This particular description, we're looking at the very end of a cultural period. And what we're going to be looking at from now on, and those of you who have been reading along with the course will see that there is a profound cultural shift following this. It's something, of course, that has deep roots that reach back to the Renaissance and extend probably into the late 20th century. So we're looking at about the beginning of a 500-year period, usually called the modern era. This is the early modern era that we're beginning with here. But what we see is a change from a period where most people understand things in a central and holistic fashion, and we're gradually sliding into a period where people are using reason and logic and starting to put things into categories. It's before the scientific revolution, but this is what the scientific revolution rises out of, until we reach the modern period today, where we tend to think in categories and we tend to rationalize most things, not all things, because quite a bit of this still remains. If you attend a Catholic Mass, or even more so if you attend, say, a Russian or Greek Orthodox service, you will find the older version, shall we say, of Christianity still obtains to a great degree. Okay, what I'm going to do too is I'm going to post some details, fill in some of the gaps. And one of the reasons that you all did very well in this is that you got a good understanding of what's going on without really knowing a lot of the details. Outside of and some of you did some of the reading, so you have some idea, but I'm going to tell you a bit more about Thomas More himself and how he's an individual who had one foot in the pre-modern world and one foot in this new so-called modern world. And it's a good way. It's a good way to understand cultural change sometimes, is by looking at individuals and how they themselves change and how they themselves reflect a cultural change. We are ourselves in a period of cultural change right now, but we'll talk about that at the end of the course. The purpose of this, as I say, was to give you this sense of cultural change, because really the course begins with the Protestant Reformation, but you can't really understand what that means unless you have a sense of the world that came before it and what has changed. Okay, that's really all I have to say on this, other than you did very well on it, and I will post a few details on Thomas More's life on the main page of the course for you to get a sense of his life and how it represents this cultural shift. Okay,